drummers, and welcome back to Tim Connolly Drums. One of the questions that I get asked very frequently as a professional musician is, who are your favorite bands? And I know exactly who my favorite bands are. It's unquestionable. So what I've done today is I've decided to come up with a top 25 list of my favorite bands. Now, I want you to keep in mind, there are no individual artists. So in the comments, oh, what? No Elvis Presley? No Michael Jackson? Those are not bands. They're individual artists with backup musicians. I'm talking about bands where there is no one's name in the title. It's not based on an individual. It's based on a group of guys, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And I've got a list from 25 to number 1, plus some honorable mentions. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm doing this intro, then I'm going to list off 25 down to 6. Then I'm going to come back at 5 and I'm going to individually talk about each one of the top 5 bands and why they're my favorites. I just felt the video would be too long if I did it for all 25, so I'm just going to list off 25 to 6, and then at 5 I'm going to tell you why these 5 bands are my top 5 favorite bands. And please feel free to let me know in the comments what your favorite bands are. Now, please keep in mind, whenever I do or anyone does any of these videos, this is based on personal taste and personal opinion. It annoys me when I get text, what? No Sum 41? No Blink 182? Like, it's personal. So if there's a band that you like that's not in my list, that's your personal list. Your favorite band could be a band I've never even heard of, but it's your personal favorite band. So everybody's got their band list. No 2 band lists are ever going to be the same. I'd be shocked if somebody actually said, I agree with your ranking and listing of all 25 bands. It's virtually impossible. So please keep that in mind. This is my personal top 25 because I get asked this question so frequently, and I decided that, hey, maybe I should put out a video talking about the bands that have influenced me, the bands that I like, and when I get to the top 5, I'm going to tell you why I like these bands and how they influence me as a musician and as a person. All right, so let's get to that list. Number 25, The Cars. Number 24, The Who. Number 23, The Clash. Number 22, The Eagles. Number 21, The Cure. Number 20, Guns N' Roses. Number 19, Depeche Mode. Number 18, Tower of Power. Number 17, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Number 16, Triumph. Number 15, Duran Duran. Number 14, Green Day. Number 13, Van Halen. Number 12, Nirvana. Number 11, Roxette. Number 10, Genesis. Number 9, the Stone Temple Pilots. Number 8, Tears for Fears. Number 7, Porcupine Tree. Number 6, Black Sabbath. Okay, so we have gone from number 25 to number 6, and I just want to stop for a second and explain how I came up with 25 to 6. Basically, the criteria is, do I like their songs? Obviously. Have I had positive interactions musically from listening to this band? That's another part of the criteria. Also, on a side note, some of these bands I actually know the musicians or have met them at some time. Some of them I've interacted with quite a bit, like for example the band Roxette. You're probably wondering, how the heck did they get in there? Well, Roxette helped me through a very tough time in my life, and I loved the first album and all the albums that they did, and I saw them live and they were just so awesome live, and I really love their music, even their ballads. I love their ballads. Some of my favorite ballads of all time come from Roxette. So they put on a great show. The musicianship is great. I got a chance to meet the drummer one time in a studio in Toronto. And I also met Marie, the singer in the band, and they were so nice to me and so awesome. And Pell, the drummer, is a great guy, and the band is from Sweden. They're the only band on the list from Sweden. And that's just an example of a variety of music that I listen to and have been influenced by. Now, meeting a band, just because I meet a band, I met lots and lots of bands in my life, doesn't mean I particularly like them just because I met them. But I'm just saying that that's an example of a band that influenced me, and I got to meet them, which is really cool. So that's what's happening with 25 to 6. They all had some kind of emotional influence on me, helped me through good times, helped me through bad times, make me want to dance, make me want to cry, you name it. If that's what music does, it affects us emotionally on a level that cannot be explained. In other words, why do you love a certain song so much? It touches your soul, that's why. And you can't explain that to somebody else. So when you're going through my list, please keep that in mind. These are all bands that touched me personally. You're going to see a band on there that has never touched you. How the hell did this band make the list? Well, maybe they didn't make your list, but they're big on my list. So it was hard to come up with this list because, quite honestly, I like hundreds, thousands of bands, but I narrowed it down to the 25 that I felt have affected me and influenced me and made me to some degree the musician that I am today. Okay, we finally made it down to the top 5. I want to re-emphasize, this is the top 5 of my personal favorite bands of all time. The top 5 are the bands that have influenced me the most, whether it be emotionally, excitement, sadness, happiness, anger, you name it, as well as musically influence me, and also just give me a good feeling every single time I listen to these 5 bands. Now, the interesting thing about these 5 bands is all 5 of them, I actually like their entire catalogs. It's very rare for an individual to like a band's entire catalog. There's a couple of songs in each one of these bands that are not my favorites, but if you look at the majority of their body of work as artists, I like majority, probably 80% of the material. So let's start with number 5, the absolutely legendary Led Zeppelin, John Bonham. What can I say about John Bonham? One of the greatest drummers of all time, incredible feel, huge influence on me. Some of my favorite Zeppelin tunes are Fool in the Rain with that killer halftime shuffle, Bernard Purdie influenced groove, Fool in the Rain. Good Times, Bad Times, which blew my mind, those 16th note triplets on the bass drum when I was a kid. The first time I heard it, I thought, what is this drummer doing? It was just incredible. And of course, the legendary Whole Lotta Love, that guitar riff that leads into some incredible drumming by Bonham. I mean, Zeppelin, so influential on me. They're my brother's favorite band of all time. And when I was a kid, I remember my brother telling me that he actually went and saw them, which was incredible. I never got to see Zeppelin, unfortunately. I've seen tribute bands, and I've played in a Zeppelin tribute band. So yes, I truly, truly love Zeppelin. If you play in a tribute band for an artist, you have to love that artist, that's for sure. Okay, number 4 on my list is The Police. Stuart Copeland, so influenced by his reggae, African rock type playing. It's incredible how he took island beats, mixed it with African rhythms, and came out in rock tunes. This drumming on these songs is just incredible. But aside from the drumming, the songs are so awesome. I love Roxanne, Spirits in the Material World, Walking on the Moon. Again, I like the entire catalog for The Police. There's barely a song that I don't like. I love The Police. Saw them live twice. Once in 1979, and then again when they did their reunion tour, I think it was 2008. So I've seen them twice. It was awesome to see Stuart and the entire band play live, and they were fantastic both times. Absolutely love The Police. Down to the top 3. Iron Maiden, number 3. Seen them live twice. Incredible, great live show. My favorite Maiden tunes are The Trooper, Fear of the Dark, and Where Eagles Dare. Just incredible. I've always loved Nico's playing. So heavily influenced. Another guy that has influenced me so heavily. I've also seen Nico play in a tribute band, an Iron Maiden tribute band. I saw Nico play in his restaurant one time in Florida, which is mind-blowing. But Iron Maiden, they've been around a long time, and they're still going strong, and definitely one of my all-time favorite bands. Top 3, as you can see, number 3 on my list. Number 2, the Beatles. The reason I started playing drums, Ringo. For you Ringo haters out there, you got it wrong. You cannot play in the greatest band of all time and not be a good drummer. Ringo was awesome. People always drag Ringo down. I totally disagree. I think Ringo is one of the greats. His shuffle feel, those early songs where he's just laying down simple swinging pop grooves was just awesome. People love the Beatles, and one of the reasons why they love the Beatles is because of Ringo's drumming. It's fantastic. Check out some of the later songs, A Day in the Life. Try playing the entire A Day in the Life from beginning to end. Also, one of my friends, Mike Rittenhouse, fellow drummer, I once talked to him about, I was at the Beatles Festival in Aurelia, and my Beatles tribute was headlining the show, and his band was playing the entire White Album. He said it was the most challenging thing he's ever done, playing the entire White Album. So for you Ringo haters out there, go and re-listen to some of these songs. Try playing them like Ringo. It's impossible. Nobody can do it because Ringo was an individual. He was an awesome time player. Ringo's time, incredible, incredible. My brother saw them in 1965, and you got to remember, he told me something that always has stuck with me. He could not hear them, and he was wondering how the heck they can play and not hear themselves and not go out of time. But you know what? If you watch the Beatles live shows, they don't go out of time. They were one of the best live bands in the history of music. Why? Because they were super tight. That rhythm section, Paul McCartney and Ringo, of course, and John on rhythm guitar, just incredible. There's no denying the Beatles are my number 2. Some of my favorite Beatle tunes of all time is In My Life, Help, uh, Fool on the Hill, and basically anything off Rubber Soul. But the Beatles is one of those bands where I like almost all their material. They don't have a bad album in my opinion. And while I'm not a fan of some of the songs, let's be honest, I don't like every single song, but I would say the Beatles, 90% of their material is awesome. So you can't go wrong listening to the Beatles. And now we get to my number one. You guys already know it if you're a fan of my channel and you've been subscribed to me for a while. This is going to be no surprise. Rush. Rush is my favorite band of all time. No surprise. Spirit of Radio, YYZ, every Rush album, any Rush song. I absolutely love Rush. I love Neil's playing. I love Geddy's bass playing and Alex's guitar playing. I've seen them 5 times live. I've met Neil, had the privilege of playing with Alex when I was teaching, and Alex came to the camp that I was teaching, and the musicians that were teaching got to play with the artists who came to the camp as a special guest. So I got to play with Alex, and that was awesome. Rush has influenced me on this instrument incredibly. I'm gonna say Ringo, huge influence, but Neil, in terms of the drumming, I'm gonna say Neil was a slightly bigger influence. I mean, I've got a shrine to Neil in my theater room over here, so huge Neil fan. I love Neil's playing. I enjoy Neil's lyrics. He was a brilliant man that wrote brilliant lyrics in Rush. Everything about Rush I thoroughly enjoy. I was devastated when Neil passed away, and I'm so sad that I'm not going to be able to see Rush play again. So that is my top 5 and my top 25. So I want to thank my new subscribers, and I want to thank people for tuning in and watching my videos, and that is the conclusion of my top 25 personal favorite bands of all time. But I just want to add some honorable mention. Canadian band Saga, British band Judas Priest, American band The Band, and of course another great legendary English band Motorhead. So those are my honorable mentions and my list. Thank you very much, and as always, keep drumming. See ya.